The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the big show. I am Larry Neal.
Hey, and I am Alex Wallace. And Larry,
we are the Spoken Token.
We are. And
podcast.
And again, we've been doing this for 6 years, and I still interrupt, and I miss that every single time. But I was going to say
I'm going to go back to cutting you off and making you redo it. I know that's your favorite thing.
No, listen. We've been doing it long enough. We don't even have time for it. But I will say that this is actually, though you say it every episode, this actually is the big show. The one.
It is,
like,
man.
This is the white whale.
Number one.
Well, I mean, that's not the white whale.
Zero.
100 episodes.
3 digits.
So now, if it's 100 mainline episodes, and then what? There's like 6 expansions.
Well, I don't know that number. That number is nowhere. It's not as big as I would like for it to be.
Yeah,
thank you for pulling the scab off of that wound.
That's it. It's quite all right.
But we do have a number of sidelines. Not just those, because we did some other things we had done earlier. So
okay.
Maybe 10 or 11 all total of the sideways. But 100 mainline episodes.
We have an episode per actual listener. So you know what?
Oh, not that joke again.
as I was researching for today's episode, even like from the first episode, I was like, oh, maybe like every other episode I make the same joke. And apparently my go-to number was 8. We have 8 listeners, and one of them is my mother.
Other episode, I've seemed to remember it every episode for a while.
But you know, maybe actually what I was doing is for all of our listeners. They're like, man, I'm special. I'm one of 8 people. But no.
No one was doing that.
That's true. That's a good point. They probably all just rolled their eyes like, okay. It's like my wife at a function. You know, every time I try and make a joke, she's like, whatever.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about right.
So, man, how are you doing on this 100th episode?
I'm over the moon, and because
it's been an amazing day. You know what's amazing?
What is amazing?
Holy moly! What just hit me?
That you didn't let me finish like answering the question.
No, that happens all the time.
What's amazing?
And that's terrible, but it's true. And you're right. I'm gonna let you get back to it. We did the same thing today that we did for episode 1.
Hey, all right.
We played a game,
and then we're recording. Man, so we are just as unprepared at the beginning as we are this time, too.
Oh, you didn't have to say that part.
But they know.
It's 100% true. But
they know. It's 100% true because it's 100% episode. But I'm over the moon because all of the things that I purchased for my birthday are coming in. They're like, I name it and claim it, and here it is.
Big boxes.
Yeah, big boxes. I mean, like, I like big boxes, and I cannot lie. And one of them is sitting over there. I finally got my legendary copy of Dwellings of Eldervale.
Yeah, we need to get that off my counter. I hear my counter creaking. Yeah. It's about to break my granite countertops, man.
And then just this weekend, or actually Monday, we're recording on a Saturday, I get to go pick up, I used the term white whale earlier because it was on my brain, but my white whale, I got Eclipse 2nd edition, the Second Dawn of Man. I have been salivating over that game for a while, and my good buddy Rick from
looking forward to it.
From Game Point, he came in clutch. Got me some in from overseas. I mean, I think before the shipping.
You know, man, I'm gonna give a shout out to Rick.
Yeah. Let's shout at the man.
I gotta give a shout out to Rick. Rick is just all class. He always has been since the first time I met him. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because most of this episode, if you haven't figured out, we're gonna be talking about our past 100 episodes. But I want to throw this out.
Not exclusively. Like, we got some new content.
We do have some new content. That's true. But ever since the first time I met him, one of the reasons why I wanted to help and why I pitched in, for one, Game Days was a great weekend, but it was because of Rick.
Yeah.
He's just such a nice and genuine person. This guy was the first person to like a comment that I made from our show, the Spoken Token podcast, about being at Just Love.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it from the Game Point account.
Okay. But granted, they're in different markets.
They are in different markets, but in the comment, I was like, which is true. And there's no slight on him, and I think that's one of the reasons why I know he's got so much class, because he knows that. I put in the comment, I was like, I was at my favorite coffee house. It's when I got some package stuff. I got something close. Can I reach it? Nope, it's close to me. I got a mask. I got some stuff from Brotherwise. They did their convention stuff.
Yeah.
And a pack for like $12. Mm-hmm. And it was a piece of cool pen and some promo cards and a mask for one of their games. I was like, I got to get that because that was their convention stuff. They weren't going, so they sold it. So I got it. So the day I got that, I'm sitting down there at Just Love and I opened it up. So I got the coffee cup in the picture. It's on Instagram. If you follow us, you've seen it. And I said in the comment, at my favorite coffee house. And Game Point thumbed it up.
Wow.
I'm like, that's nothing but class.
It is nothing
I mean,
but
yeah,
class.
he made a comment about it. You know, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, and I went past, oh, that's Rick. And then I went back and I looked and I was like, and I looked at the juxtaposition. I said, so from a coffee house, with me being a longtime friend of him before I knew about Just Love, because I did, telling that this was my favorite coffee house that's not his establishment, and yet he's still enough of a good guy to be like, yeah, that's great, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean that, but
Rick
that's Rick.
Yeah, he's
you
my
know
man.
what?
He's my man. That's the reason
I
why,
will
Rick,
say that
you are the man, sir.
And there are a handful of people. As I kind of reminisced about us doing this for the last 6 years, I started to think, what are the core elements of why we oh yeah, that's super cool, Night of the Ninja, nice. But why were we able to do some of the things that we were able to do, get a lot of the things, I mean, or just kind of the experiences that we walked through. And there were a handful of people that came to mind that were instrumental in us keep doing this. And it's Rick and Dave.
That's Rick, yeah.
Yeah, those two guys. Like, I mean,
Yep.
Dave sort of helped us form the foundation of this.
Well, we met each other at Dave's store.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And like he offered, like
There that goes.
Was the place where this was sort of the inception was, and then even just from the
He was our most vocal early critic.
he was very instrumental in helping us move in the direction that we moved, and we love him for it. And we still talk daily.
That's true. That's 100% true.
And so, and then of course, then Rick sort of kind of came in and filled the board game purveyor, if you will.
We were so sad.
Yeah, I know, but and well, of course, if you've been with us for a while, we had a home.
We
store
keep it
here.
alive by
Yes.
saying the name. Roll the dice.
Yes, absolutely. You shall remain. Though, actually, hopefully there might be another game store in Murfreesboro at some time that is actually trying to recreate the roll the dice model.
We will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to support. And so, but yeah, so it's just neat thinking through the people, like, it's not just you and I. I mean, we're here because of
Absolutely.
awesome people, content creators, and just friends, just friends. I mean, how many people like I can look at and go, I know this person because of the show, and like they've made my life better.
Yeah. Well, yet another
really
amazing
cool.
thing that we did with the show that we'll talk about this in just a bit. There was a part of the vision that I didn't even know when I called my shot. Was what we did was we shined a light on the gaming community here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which is very much something that I can say now I would absolutely love to do and want to do. And then looking back over 100 episodes, what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Because of what you just said. From Dave and Roll the Dice to Tennessee Game Days and Rick to Meeple Mountain.
Yeah.
To everybody that we took to
AJ
Van
and
Ryder.
Evan, yeah.
I mean, everything that we've talked about.
Well, even the
Infinite Dreams.
Minixes, like with Bear Attack.
And that's kind of where we've been and we've positioned ourselves. And I wouldn't have said I didn't put in writing early on because I have the first statement of the show that we did, that's what we wanted to do. But that's very much something I would want to do, to shine a light on the community where we are, not to raise it up above other communities, but to let everybody understand, hey, listen, we've got this here. You've got it where you are too.
Yeah.
If you just go and look for it, and if you don't see it, build it.
Yeah.
And so that's what these people have done. So no, that's fantastic. And like I said, we got some new stuff we want to get to. We definitely want to do a reminisce, talk about the 100 previous episodes. We better get on
technically
into
it's the 99 previous episodes.
Well, that's true. 99 previous episodes. Not even technically. You're absolutely correct. 99 previous episodes.
I mean, it is technically.
Let's get down to episode 100 in earnest right after this intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Spoken Token podcast. This time, Alex and Larry celebrate our 100th episode. Take a trip with us as we talk about our favorite moments from the first 99 episodes and what makes them so special. Listen in as we take a first look at fantastic factories and get an inside peek at what gaming with the guys is really like. Sometimes. There is so much to get to and unpack this episode, and you don't want to miss a moment of it. So sit back, relax, tune up your Wayback Machines, and turn us up as we join our hosts, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal. All right, let's knock this out so we can actually do the recording.
Let's teach.
Yep, this is Fantastic Factories, and it is a tableau builder.
Of course it is.
Something I know that Alex likes. It's pretty neat. It's pretty simple. I love the rule book. Basically, like 3 pages of rules, and that's the game.
That's my favorite kind of rule book,
dude. It's pretty. It's a thicker rule book because it's got other stuff. It's got a card glossary and all other stuff in it, and solo mode. But the basic rules are really, really simple. So what we're going to do each turn. So on this little card that we have too, We will go. Let's see. You probably were. Were you the last person to use a tool?
I used one this week.
Yep, it was you. The person who used a tool goes first.
Okay.
And so
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Token. I needed that pick me up.
So what's going to happen? You're going to do in the first phase that we have. We're going to do one. You've got 2 actions, and you can do either one of them.
Okay.
Okay. You can take one of these for free into your hand and then refill the row, or you can hire one of these by spending a tool that matches the row that it's in.
I love that they are Lego men.
I know, isn't it great? And they're not all the same.
Yeah.
Because like I said, there's 2 artisans, but there's a male and a female.
Yeah, well, that's me and that's Cynthia.
Which is just it's fantastic. I love it. So, and then of course, once you do with the contractors, you will do what the contractor says and you will discard it. Because normally they're right away.
So you pay for them and then it's a one-time action?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, you have to discard a card from your hand with this symbol.
Oh.
Yeah. Just to get these 4. These bottom ones, you just take it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, they have build costs. Since we've got some turned up, we'll use the build costs. When you take a card, when you want to build it, you've got that same mechanic again. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to discard a card with that to begin with, and then you got to pay that.
Got it.
And then there you just lay it in your tableau.
Okay.
Okay. Now, they all have that, and then they have things at the bottom. We've got the glossary, and we can get to the glossary. But once they're there, then they let you do stuff. And this little key, which I didn't think was important until I started playing the game, to know it, but now I understood why they put it here. I was like, why they put it here? Because it's on the cards too, I believe. It's super important.
Got it.
Because this lets you know right off the bat, just at a glance, what the cards do. Yeah. Red cards, they modify the workers.
Got it.
Okay. Now, we win the game at the end. I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to go back and cover stuff. We win the game at the end with a combination of prestige points, which are these purple guys, and goods.
Okay.
Okay. So
what's the threshold?
Threshold is 12. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 12 goods or somebody's built 10 things.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Then we're going to go to the second part. In the general part of the game, when everybody knows a game, this next part is your favorite thing. Simultaneous.
Yeah, I see that.
Right. We can do it first. Just got a part, but whatever. You roll your 4 dice. Mm-hmm. Everybody does it, and then you place them on your little board here.
And all of these trigger once they go here.
Well, what's going to happen is you're getting resources.
Okay.
Here to do things, and that's we'll start at the top.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll use my dice. I'm gonna cook my dice so that I can give you an example. So if you put the same thing here, I'm gonna use all 4. I'll use all 4s. If you put 3 dice in the research, you get a card for each die you put in there.
Okay.
No matter the number, you get to pull a blueprint, and it always comes off of here.
Okay.
In this phase, never from the ones that are face up.
Got it.
Now, for each extra die you put that matches a number, you get another card.
Okay.
So, if in this instance, you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards.
Because you get the 2 extra from this bonus.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now, moving down to the next one, generate. Generate's a little different. Generate can only have a 1 or 2 or 3.
Okay.
But you get the number of energy that you put into
it's the sum.
The die.
The sum. Okay.
Right. So, and you still got the multiplier. So 3 3s would be 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
All right.
I thought it looks like 1 extra. Or is that across the whole thing?
It's across the whole thing.
Oh, okay. 2, you get 1 extra. 3, you get, okay. I see.
Yep. And then the mine, you can only put a 4, 5, or a 6 down there, but you only get 1 per. But you still get the bonus. So if I put 3 5s in the mine, I'd get 3 metal and then 2 more for the 2 extra dice.
Okay. All right. So the mine is per dice.
Yeah.
The generate is sum of.
Yep. That's why it's only 1, 2, and 3.
Got it.
Yeah.
I got
4,
it.
5, and 6 lets you know how rare the mine's going to be.
Yeah.
And then of course the cards. Now, once you get cards, that's part of our turn.
Okay.
Right. We roll our dice, but this is the beautiful part of the turn. I read that a million times last night just to be sure again. On our turns, the first thing we do after we pick, we do have to roll our dice. Okay. But later on in the game, this will make a difference. At that point, in any order, you can place dice, get resources, and build cards.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to roll them first.
Right, but then at that point, you trigger your however you need to.
Yeah, because as you've probably looked at your hand, some of your cards are going to take dice to do things. Some of these cards give you extra dice.
Where would it say that?
It'll say in the middle. You may not have any in the beginning because you shuffle them. Yeah, you shuffle them really good. Although I got 2 mega factors, that's cool. But there are ones in here. There's one in here that if you put a 1 on it, you get an energy.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, there's some that if you put 3 dice of any number, you'll get some goods. There'll be ones that do that. There are ones that if you pay this, you get to roll another die. Whenever we roll an extra die, because we have the colored die, we'll be.
Oh yeah, I do have a die thing here.
There you go. Yeah. So that's, I think that's brilliant. And when I first started it, the first time I had it out learning it, I didn't do it that way, and I think that's a little clunky. But once I really played a solo game last night, it was a true solo game, and I was like, oh, I was doing that wrong.
Gotcha.
So that makes it flow a lot better. Once we get to the second part, we roll the dice, and then you work your stuff until you're done. You can build as much as you want during your time, as long as you can pay for it. The only exception is you can build cards with the same name unless the card specifically says you can.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, remember, you got to pay the resource to build the card.
Yep. So if I wanted to build this card,
you gotta.
All right, and we are back. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Hey man,
we missed you guys.
Let's get the new content.
Hey, I love it. I love new stuff.
Right at the top of the show.
Now, granted, it's like not like new, but it's like new to us.
Yeah, new to us.
Yeah, I mean, and but a lot of things are new to us. So like
well,
I just discovered washcloths the other day. I mean,
that's way too much information. That is way too much.
I know. Okay, all right. So, what game did we start off our wonderful Saturday afternoon with,
that's
Larry?
Nasty, Alex.
Oh, come on! I'm talking about the game now, not washcloths. I still use soap. Okay, now while Larry is just, I mean, listen, 99 episodes and we still doing it. We have not changed one bit. Listen, I mean,
you, sir, are braver and stinkier than I.
I'm not stinky. Oh man! I won't even get into it. Well, sorry.
I knew better. I should have cut that off and let it go.
That's why I was going to take a tangent. But but that is one thing of growth that I have had during this time is like I know that's going to get cut in editing anyway, so I might as well stop. So that's a good thing.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So we have a first impressions of a game that is new to us. It's actually relatively. The second printing, which we played, is fairly new to the market.
Yes.
And so, Larry, why don't you let our wonderful listening audience in on what beautiful game footage we got going on today as you down your coffee. Oh, well.
Sorry, you were talking to me.
I was talking to you. The only other person in the room.
Wait. My bad. I really was drinking my coffee. You got me. Really unprofessional, guys. So we're talking about Fantastic Factories, and of course, as I forgot to put it back on the table because we did just play it.
We just save it.
And that's by our friends. That's by our friends at Deepwater Games.
Deepwater Games.
It was designed by Joseph Chen and Justin Faulkner, and this is the base game. I did include a little bit of, I want to say it was manufactions. I think because there aren't a lot of workers in the base game. The workers that you can hire. So I took the ones out that had the new special thing in it, the vitamins, but because there were some other regular workers that were really interesting. They did some interesting stuff. So our worker deck was a little bit thicker. But other than that, we played it vanilla.
Yep.
All of the blueprints were vanilla. And when I got this, I kickstarted it. I went in all in. I got everything that was available because I'd heard good things. And of course, earlier on, you couldn't find it at retail.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons why when they came back to the Kickstarter, I was like, I'm going to get in on that. And then it was really reasonable price-wise, and I got everything that they have, both the expansions, their promos are in there, and then, of course, a beautiful mat. And, man, it's a blast.
Man, it was I was surprised. I was surprised.
Blast. Yeah, this is a first impression.
Yeah.
My first impression, I mean, super elegant. You learn right off the bat. It's like 3 pages to the rules.
Right.
That the first 3 pages are teaching you the game, and literally it's like, you learned it, and then they give you the solo, and then, of course, there's a glossary of what the cards do, but the iconography is really easy. The artwork is adorable. The little Lego people, like you said, I love that. And then it's really colorful. Production-wise, it's Deepwater, man. It's
so Deepwater, they're the same people that released the Welcome To series and a few other things, but they're mostly known for Welcome To. As I mentioned just a second ago, I was taken aback by how much I enjoyed this when we finished. Because when we started and I looked at it and because I'd seen this before and it was, it was like, it kind of reminded me of like Dice City. Just from aesthetics and, it's like, there's nothing really here,
Nothing like that, but I can see that.
And so, but then while we played it, I just was like, okay, well, Larry's really excited about this, whatever. And so, and I was expecting
good to know, man.
I was expecting a shallow game. I really was.
I appreciate the way you saying that.
Yeah, but I love you. I love you, so I'm willing to play shallow games.
I'm just shallow.
You are not shallow. Listen, okay. But again, as about halfway through the game, I just realized how much fun I was having.
Yeah, it's a blast.
So it is an engine builder with some dice rolling
which
mechanic.
you love.
Yeah, I love engine, and one of the things that separates good engine building games for me from ones that I don't like are the amount of content in the engine building stuff. So, so like the number of different cards available to you, because in some engine builders, like they make like 10 different cards. And then they just make 5 copies of it, and that's it. But this had a wealth of unique cards that all had different abilities, and so to be able to kind of go through your deck or go through the deck and find things that do different things. But what was also cool, and then the mechanic that this game has, that all cards are useful. So there's kind of a resource mechanic that I think of like
because you got to use cards.
Yeah, sort of like in Marvel Champions, where every card has a resource, so you can either so you can play it or you can discard it to do something else, and that way this game works. And it's so just by the end of it, it flew through. It was enjoyable. It never lagged. It was super simple, but then, oh man, when you start kind of chaining things together, this is. And
I knew from our history that I was like, as soon as he gets it and he starts chaining stuff, man, he's gonna be doing stuff. Stuff's gonna get to flying. Resources are gonna be leaving and coming back, and he's gonna be racking up points. And that's pretty much
what happened.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is that personally. My wife and I went on just kind of a vacation over the summer and to, where did we go? North Carolina.
To the moon! Oh.
We went to the moon! To the moon, Alice! No, we went to, not Charlotte, North Carolina. What's the other place in North Carolina? Asheville. We went to Asheville.
Yeah, because there's only 2 places
in North Carolina. We lived in North Carolina for a while, and there's still only 2. There's 3, actually. It's either Asheville, Charlotte, or everywhere else in North Carolina. But we went to Asheville. And part of the thing was like we found this local board game store that was wonderful. It was the Griffin or something like the Griffin.
Yeah, we did a show on
the Griffin's Table. I think.
Because we did a show on it. Because you did a roadshow.
Right.
Solo roadshow. Man.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't think I
was
did.
Was it Florida then?
Maybe it was Florida.
Okay.
It was Florida that I did that. Yeah. No. This was a couple months ago. But regardless, and there I picked up a game called Mechanica. Mechanica, and it had some of these really cool components and this ability where you would like puzzle piece different things together to trigger this factory. And I was super excited about it. And as we played through it, it just did not have enough variety. So by the time you would see maybe the 5th new kind of puzzle piece that was sort of the engine, you'd seen everything that there was. And so I just was super disappointed. So that was kind of what was coloring my thought process when I walked into Fantastic Factories. Is like, okay, they're adding dice, and there's going to be a little bit of of different thing, but based on the cutesiness of the box and what I saw set up in front of me, there's not going to be a lot of variety, and it's gonna kind of wear itself out really quickly. And it took us 45 minutes teach to finish, and it just blazed by. It just blazed by, and I was engaged every single second of the game, and God. Like, the more I talk about it, the more it just gives me the warm and fuzzies.
It's like, you're like, I want my copy now.
No. I mean, I'm a kind of, like I said, I bought all of my birthday games, and I think that's about it.
There you go. No, I mean, I agree with all of that. And when I went through my learning game, I felt that way. And then I played it solo, and it plays solo really cool. I mean, I'm the same way. I think it's engaging. I'm not as good as, tableau builders, engine builders as you are, but I do love them. And so this is a good one. Like you said, they've happened on something that is a simple, elegant, yet deep system. Their implementation of it, I think, is brilliant with the artwork and just the design direction, period. It's bright. It's colorful. It is a fun game. Guys, if you're teaching it to gamers, it's super quick. if you're teaching it to gateway gamers and or non-gamers, it's still going to be quick. Take the super off and just put the quick on it. But to gamers, it's going to be super quick, and everything Alex said is 100% truthful. You're going to have a great time with it, I think. If you like engine builders, building the engine, seeing the, seeing all the differences that you can make, seeing the way things connected, and you know me, when you got to make those meaningful decisions, when the only 2 cards in your hand, you want to build them both, but you've got to discard a card of that suit to build one of them, and then you wait half the game to try to get just one more, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that really hurt you.
And then you go on and you sacrifice one of them, and the 2 turns later, it wasn't that next turn, but the turn after that, all of that suit came out in the middle. It's like, oh man. But no, it is so good though. Making those decisions, seeing what your things do. Once you build stuff and then going back to it later and being like, I never use this. And then you use it, oh, that's pretty good. Or thinking, I couldn't wait to build it. And then you build it and you get it down and you're like, that's terrible. I just use it for points at the end of the game. I mean, even that is just, I'm with you, man. It's fantastic. For a first impression, I think it's great. I would love to do a later, more in-depth getting this one to the table. But for a first impression, huge thumbs up.
Yeah, this was just, what a surprise.
Yep.
What a surprise.
Yep. I am very, very glad that it was here. And for us to be able to play this one, it fit it in before the show, and to get it in for this 100 show, because it's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to say, so for those, like, this is going to be a great kind of bridge the gap for newer players, but also people who are deep strategy gamers. Like, there's enough here for you to really dig into,
especially if you're playing with other gamers that are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can see this being really competitive.
Yep.
In the score, especially you're talking about with those expansions. But I think this one is gonna I would recommend this to quite a few people based on this first play.
Yep.
Now the real question for me is, I talked about all this variety. Is playing it, the second, third, fourth time, will things start to kind of become stale, at least in the base game? Because for me, that's where engine builders sort of fall apart. And like I was alluding to earlier, is if you just see the same, like you're like, all right, I know when this comes up, I need to buy this, or is it designed well enough that regardless of what card comes up, it's based on the moment and not like, oh, there's a monument, I have to have that card, or I have to have the megalith, or I have to, because sometimes you're like, there's always a card that is in there that you have to buy it when you see it. Right. And that benefits the player who knows the game, not the person you're teaching.
Absolutely. And I will say this too. I mean, I don't remember specifically. I do think that there was a time when that was one of the only criticisms leveled at this one, was that in the base box alone, was there enough, to keep it going in terms of diversity of cards. But now at this stage of this game's life cycle, you don't have to worry about that.
That's true, yeah.
Because like you said earlier, the base game is very reasonable and the expansions are even less. And you don't need both of the expansions to do that, because they are just their cards. They're adding cards, because really all you want to do is add more cards. Blueprints, I didn't find to really be a problem, which means the things that you build out of the base box. Even playing my solo game, I did feel like there maybe weren't quite. I almost went through the worker deck. Now, the AI has a mechanic where he rolls the colored dice. When you play solo, you use only those white, the clear dice. And the AI rolls one of each of the colored dice. And depending on what you get on the dice, depends on where you put it and what it does, which I think for one is a very neat system. But one of his actions, if he rolls a 6 on the green, he completely wipes the worker row, and you have to pull out new ones. And I roll a couple of 6s. So that helped me wipe the row, and I think I rolled 3. So wiping the row 3 times, and then with only 1 or 2 or 3 that I actually, hired, I was down to like 1 or 2 cards left at the end of that game. And so that's the reason why I opened that other pack. I was like, it's not really enough workers. With the 2 of us, with the ability to wipe the row at will, of course you reshuffle when you run out, but I'm like, if they're the same cards again. So, but today we didn't get anywhere near the end of the workers. And the ones that came out were really exciting and interesting. So again, like I said, I think that may have been one of the criticisms that was leveled. And if I'm wrong on that, I'll accept that. But I could see that as a criticism. It's probably something I would have leveled at it when the game first came out, when Fantastic Factories was the only one out. But again, like I said, now that's not an issue. You've got the 2 expansions. You've got so much more content now that you can get. And again, just adding in the workers, not to mention the other mechanics, because we haven't played with those yet, Yes, so much there. For me, it's one of the best values I've had in a while. Purchased, and one of the best values that I've purchased in quite a bit.
I can see that.
So, and what's funny is that I've got probably what I think is one of my other best values sitting on the table today, because we were kind of doing the spooky theme, and that would be Zpocalypse. Dude, I look back at that. I got that game and the big box expansion, and they did an insert expansion that basically had as much content as a big box. It just didn't come in a box. It was like $65 on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So from a value standpoint, all that's in the box, it's like, oh man, that's a lot.
That was one of the like first kind of runs of things that came out in Kickstarter.
It was one of my early ones, yeah.
Yeah,
it may have been the first one I got, I think.
Yeah, because I remember owning. You talked about it, and so I picked it up at retail, and it wasn't my cup of tea.
Right. Well, I mean, again, it's sitting next to the game that I picked it over. Well, a version is sitting next to Zombicide Invader.
Yeah, and actually, so
Zombicide was the gorilla.
So I'm putting a pin in it right now because Zpocalypse is something I want to kind of revisit when you and I sort of have a reminiscence.
Well, it is the spooky season, man.
Our reminiscence.
What you doing tomorrow? We can play it tomorrow.
Nah, man, we ain't gonna be. Listen, I got.
That is so true. He is being 100% honest too. You are hearing the real and the raw. I'm not even sure I'm gonna lead this in.
All right.
Well, we better move on.
That's true, but that's Fantastic Factories from Deepwater Games and Meta Factory Games, designed by Joseph Z. Chen and Justin Faulkner.
Look at you.
So on our first playthrough, first look, I mean, this has potential to see the table quite often. I think. All right, so let's move on with the show. We want to thank the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Van Ryder Games.
Creators of award-winning games such as the single-player Hostage Negotiator and the One vs. Many Detective City of Angels.
You can find their full catalog of games, including their graphic novel adventures, at vanrydergames.com. That's VANRYDERGAMES.com, your FLGS, or wherever you buy your games online.
And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex, games.
Games at the table.
Laptop on the table. Microphone. Everyone.
My coffee cup.
So we got lamp. We have to.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, okay, we're moving on. I feel like we've reversed. Well, it's Freaky Friday in here. So.
Well, I'm super happy, mainly because it's 100 episodes that we're celebrating doing.
That was a good William Shatner.
With this one, well, I mean, I guess I was doing what he was doing all the time. I was thinking of what I was going to say. We're celebrating, of course, with this being the 100th episode. But man, I'm so full because
you had a Danish before?
No, that wasn't enough. I could have ate that whole thing. I would have had to go to the hospital with diabetes, but I wouldn't be full. Because you're right, it is rich.
Yeah.
It was really good. I ate my middle though. It was great. Talking about the cheese danishes.
That's right. Not a board game product.
In researching and preparing for this, and what we're going to do, the section, I guess, is why we're here, and what I need to do is probably announce the section and be serious here for just a moment. What we're working with now, calling this one, it's not just good, but super good, because we're going to do some top 3 lists. And we also mixed it in with something that we're calling the long look back. And what the long look back is, we're going to take a candid look at our first 99 episodes. And we're going to discuss the trends in the games that we have played and seen since the beginning. And we're going to end by looking forward to our next 100 episodes after this one. But we're going to talk about our favorite episodes and just the moments that stuck out to us. And we're going to get into, of course, those games and trends. And man, in researching and doing that, I was crawling around our, Google file that we've been building the whole time. That's got every show in it. And listening to old episodes, reading my old notes, which, folks, I'm not exaggerating. It is pages and pages of stuff that maybe one of my kids or grandkids might publish them one day. Y'all may never see them. But it's the way I prepare, and it's the way I have to be prepared. All of that to come and sit down here and spend the 40 minutes and be up to par with this guy sitting across the mic from me.
Who prepares zero.
I mean, your preparation is different and natural, and that's one of the things I've come to learn.
But actually,
I appreciate that.
Well, what's been interesting too is like I used to come in with not prepared. I was like, oh, I can do this, but I'm encouraged by you because you've helped me grow. Like I'll spend an hour or two just kind of looking and absorbing, but I'm not a note taker.
Right.
I'm just whatever I absorb and whatever comes out naturally.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of.
And I do in my regular quote unquote day job when I'm writing, when I'm creatively writing. When I am writing, it's confession time. When I am writing a text file and designing a game, I take notes. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the Word document and I'm designing the game. I got a notepad open and I'm taking notes. I'm just a note taker because if it's out of context or if it's on a tangent, sometimes if it's out of context, I'll put it at the end. Being honest, I will put it at the end and then I'll move it in later. But sometimes it's on a tangent, and if it's on a tangent, I'm taking notes.
Confession time.
You don't do that.
No. And another confession time, I actually knew what a washcloth was.
We all knew that, but the joke was great. You have to have been listening to the show to this point to get that joke. If you, for some reason, just came in, you're going to have to rewind back.
At what point would someone...
It was hilarious.
What kind of monster are you to start a podcast directly in the middle? You know what? If they can't hold my interest dead center, they're not worth listening to.
Oh, my goodness, that's great. So I'll tell you what, let's get started with the shows.
Let's. All right, so, Larry, we've done it from the beginning. This is one of the things that has held true. It's
not just good.
It's
super good.
So we are doing a top 3. You know what? It's our show, dagnabbit. And if we want to do more than 3, we will keep it close to 3, but it may be more than 3.
Well, I'm doing 3, but I'm doing 3 in 3 different categories.
That's right. See, Larry, he lawyers it. It's still 3, but they're like,
well, Your Honor, you can't exactly throw me out.
That's right. This is true.
So you know what? I introed. Why don't you get us started?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what we're doing is just kind of the top 3 moments or for Larry genres or just general things over the last 6 years, the last 99 episodes.
And get your note pens out, people, because the episodes we're mentioning, go listen.
Nah, you don't need notepad. You can do what I do and just like, oh, there's a thing.
No, go listen.
Oh, okay. I mean... Okay.
It'll be in the show notes, but
true.
You can take notes now and go listen.
But what if they've already listened?
They'll listen again and get the same enjoyment that we got out of it on working on this.
Oh, that's true.
Because I ain't gonna lie, I enjoyed it. It was great. It was great. I forgot. Mine were just bits and pieces. I'm gonna let you get started. Mine were just, there were certain moments in the recording that I remembered, but I listened to these shows again, and it was just all over. There was so many other things. Like, I forgot that was great.
We are like the Friends of podcasts or the Office of podcasts. You just go back, you just put us on in the background, and you just listen to us over and over. It don't matter how many times you listen to us. That we're like a good comfort food. So. Yeah, you can't argue with that. That's what I thought. All right, so these are in no particular order. I'm actually going to start with my most recent thing. For me personally, my last episode with Cynthia, the one that we did this summer, like just the content we got into.
I can see that.
Was so meaningful. She was delightful, and it just was a joy to talk to her. And then, but to also offer information that was useful and relevant.
Super perfect.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and they had just mentioned, and they said, "Hey, we just listened to Cynthia's episode, and like we were a little skeptical on the front end, like, oh, okay, he just got his wife. It's not Larry. It could be." But by the end of it, though,
they don't know Cynthia,
right? But by the end of it, they were like, that was really just useful.
Like I said, they don't know Cynthia.
Yeah, I know. So that's one of my prouder moments. It's like, oh, she's growing up. So, all right, what about you? What's your next one? Or your first one?
All right, I'm going to start with this first category that I'm starting with contains my favorite show overall.
Okay.
Also, but I'm going to start.
I don't know any of these things, so I'm ready to be. Please tell. If it's one of your solo episodes where I'm not even in it, I'm going to be a little upset, though.
I am going to start with number 3, and I'll go 3, 2, 1 in this. And the category of this one are the top 3 milestone episodes.
Okay.
So to me, the episodes that we got when we were celebrating or coming across a milestone. And number 3 for me is episode 008, which is parts 1 and 2, which is our first TGD.
Oh, yeah.
The first coverage we did, that group of people that we talked to.
And what a successful group of people. Not to say we had anything to do with those people.
We didn't have
but we caught each of the, like, cause
probably heard them a little bit.
Keymaster and Van Ryder, and those are the 2 that jump out. But both of them have just reached a level of
Infinite
success.
Dreams was there.
Infinite Dreams, yes, and Warehouse 13.
Yep.
So all 3 of those groups. I mean, even Van Ryder, they just are posting this. They're doing a new combination with Lucky Duck Games right now.
Yep.
Which looks really intriguing, and it's like a 18 plus, like you have to be 18 years or older to play, kind of
And episode 08, for those of you keeping count, that would have been year 1.
Yeah, that was year 1, and that was our first TGD.
Yeah, first TGD.
We barely knew Rick, and
well, I mean, I knew him well at that point.
Okay,
but we hadn't. This was a different facet to our relationship.
Yeah, okay.
Because I had been a fixture at the show. I taught at the show. I'd been there since TGD3.
That's true. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but this was the first time with us coming, because we'd even been there for a couple of years helping Dave before we did that. So we were there with Dave. Dave was a vendor at the time. Roll the Dice was a vendor at the time, selling games on the show. And Alex and I volunteered along with Austin to help with that. So he'd even seen us in that capacity.
Yeah.
But this was our first time with us getting to him saying, hey, we're content creators now. We're going to be doing this. And he welcomed us with open arms. And just one of the things I want to say, just convention coverage experience is just unique in our field of content creation. When you're talking about board games. And I'm really, really glad that we were able to get our feet wet and to gain experience so that we've gone from, it's new to now we kind of know what we want to do at the convention, at our home convention.
Yeah.
That's extremely important. But like you said, when we were talking about these, when we said what we want to do, we want to pull out the episodes that stick out. That first TGD, all of them really have been special, and all of them are in my memory. Also, too, every one of these things on my list are ones that just they're in my memory.
Yeah,
I remember literally recording them.
Yeah,
not just editing, but recording them. So for me, episode number 8, parts 1 and 2, it was in 2 parts. It was portending what was coming.
That's true, but I will say, like, we knew Keymaster Games, like, before they were in every Target everywhere with parks. I mean, of course, Campy Creatures is incredible, and that's kind of what we were talking with about them. So that's
your next one.
All right, my next one. Again, I didn't really do an I did do an episode, but my next one is just a moment, and that was Bears in a Park. So Larry and I did a segment in which we turned a board game into a movie, and I took Barron Park and turned it basically into Jurassic Park and did a miniature trailer. And just, I had so much joy.
We both have that one on our list, man.
Really?
That was so funny.
I had so much joy,
Gosh.
just thinking through that, because it was super easy.
It was great.
Your reaction to it, I thought just
because it was hilarious.
Yeah, it still makes me smile.
Me too. And I'm going to talk about that one later. That one's not on this list.
Okay.
That's because that segment was new.
Yeah.
So that one's in my new segment.
I think we've only done it that one time. Maybe we did it one other time.
Well, we'll see.
So okay, we'll see.
So my next one in the Milestones is number 2, and this one is episode 001.
Oh man,
there are
a few cringeworthy episodes for me. That one's a little cringy.
Well, I'm gonna do this, and I don't think so. But I'm gonna just throw this out there. I wasn't sure I was gonna cover this out of what I wrote, but we covered in that game. Well, the segments we did first time we did The Right Kind of Crowd. Mm-hmm. We did On the Table. Mm-hmm. We did Taking Off the Lid. Mm-hmm. We did Beyond the Box, and something called Games on the Go. Mm-hmm. And we also covered Ashes Rise of the Phoenix Born.
Oh yeah,
in the very first game. But just for me, getting ready, not knowing what to expect. I just had the vision for the show and was just trying to work through that. Alex and I knew each other, but this was a whole different level to our relationship and friendship. It was like, okay, now I'm collaborating with this guy. We got to build a thing. And it was a lot of work for me, as you guys have heard. I take notes. So of course, I had taken copious amounts of notes. It was so unorganized. Because they're still in the Google thing, the way I put them in there. But I did all the notes, and and I remember we had so many games on the table at my old apartment, and we had a little microphone set up, and the moment I hit the red button and we started recording, it just like something just clicked. And that's the reason why I trademarked wow. That first time it was legitimate. Because we got to the end and I'm looking, what's next? And I'm like, wow, we're done. Like, wow. And you just kind of grabbed that and ran with it. And now that's sort of our thing. But that very first one was genuine because I couldn't believe how quickly the time had gone. And that just is an indelible moment for me. I will never forget that first recording. So yes, episode 001. I will also go on and admit that I went with episode 001, which if you go back and listen to that one, Alex does give me a hard time about it. But I did do it for a couple of reasons, and now I'll publicly admit them. One of them was because I did want to do 007. Who doesn't want to do 007? You have to want to do that. But the second reason, which Alex knew that, that's what he was giving me a hard time about back then. The second one was because in the back of my mind circle, I wanted to make sure we made it at least to 3-digit episode numbers.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
And I've never said that to anybody. So like I said, my first things first when I sat down, this is the first one I put on the list. I'm like, we're not done yet. but we made it to 100. So that 001 now you know. So episode 001.
All right. My next one on this top 3 list that is not top 3, but it's the and you may have to do 2 or 3 more because you got a few more than me. But I remember the first time we lost an entire recording. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. We didn't lose it. We didn't hit record. That's
for here now to be known as the Phantom episode.
I think only one other time,
it was hot. It was hot.
It was.
We were smoking. I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, and then
we're not recording.
It was so, and it was early on too. It was probably
so good.
I mean, we
were in the other apartment.
It's like episode 4 or 5. Yeah. I mean, it was actually no. I think 4 is the infamous November no Geek Media Expo episode. It's our infamous episode. For those of you who've been around the show quite often, we promised an episode. And then we never delivered. And Larry has never forgotten that since.
I'm not the only one.
Technically, it's an episode. It's 3 minutes long. And it's us at Geek Media Expo going, hey, we'll have another episode. And we never did.
Oh, my gosh.
So, but all right, yeah. So that was the first time we...
Mistakes were made.
Didn't hit the record button.
Promises were broken.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one is my number 1 overall out of all of them. Because it's part of this list. I don't want to jump around lists. I think that would be weirder. So my number 1 overall for me is episode number 79.
Okay.
Which is our first annual Christmas special.
Oh, I was going to put that on there. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, which is what we first did last year. And I got to say a couple of things, completely selfish reasons. But the fact is that I wanted this. I wanted to always be a part of a show like this back when I was a kid, even before podcasting was a thing. So as a kid, wanting to be a broadcaster, I majored in mass comm in college, and prior to when I was a kid, we grew up with this type of specials that I wanted to model this after. So I'd always, literally always, almost my whole life, have wanted to be a part of a Christmas variety special. Because we used to sit around the TV and watch them growing up as kids. Everybody did them. And so we watched them, and they were just so great. And so we got a chance to do that. That's what I modeled this one on. And it's our version of it. And so just for me to be a part of that finally,
that was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No matter that it, was a podcast or the format, it was so huge. I probably spent willingly, part of it was because of the technical things that I wanted to do. Some of the techniques that I used, I'd never done before. And some of the sources that I pulled some stuff and some other editing stuff that I'd never done. So I'd learned that, but I willingly spent about 10, almost 11 hours maybe editing this one. And it was a labor. It was legitimately a labor of love. Nice, every moment.
It was special.
Yeah, I loved every minute of it, and I
remember when
this is amazing.
You pitched that to me, and I went, okay, cool, whatever, man.
What was so funny? Because I told him, hey, you remember the old special, like when Andy Williams used to do Christmas specials, and it was crickets, and Alex was like, no. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you've never watched the Christmas special? And I'm like, oh, that's right. You're still a baby.
I'm not a baby. All right. So, move on.
Well, they haven't done those in like 30 years.
It's true. All right, move on to your next list. What do you got?
All right, my next list, we're going to move down the list to, I'll go top 3 guest episodes.
Oh, yeah. I like this.
And we'll start with number 3 again. And this is going to be episode number 94, which was special guest Ryan Howard.
Oh, man.
And this was a new one. When we had Ryan, of course, we played Tabletop RPG with Ryan, and he has his own show, Rolling Bones with Ryan. And so he's a content creator as well. But man, this man's...
We still owe him an episode.
We do. This man's level of knowledge.
Yeah.
For one, it was on display from the moment we sat down to play. Mm-hmm. But then when he stepped in the studio, it was on display full force. He was a fantastic guest. I mean, he was what he is, which is he was a third host in there with us.
Yeah.
We didn't have a guest that night. We had 3 hosts, and it was phenomenal. We learned so much. He is one of the most recent example for me of during the show. I legit was taking notes during the show. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm marking stuff down because sometimes I'm typing. Alex sees it all the time. I'm not always taking notes. Sometimes I'm doing show note stuff to remember, hey, put this there, go look this up, or I'm looking something up and cutting and pasting the link in so I'll have it later. I was legit taking notes with him. I've done it a few other times. His is the most recent example because the knowledge he was dropping, guys, about tabletop RPGs, not just playing the games, but what they mean to him, what they can mean to the community, what they can mean to your community, what they do mean to his. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was a memorable, and it was one of those, like I said, I remember every minute of that one. So that's episode number 94 with special guest Ryan Howard.
And that reminds me, I think just, putting on my list, and I can do this now because I'm a co-host. But I think my favorite thing that we that we do is talking to other people.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you and I can banter back and forth, and, we can talk about board games, but ultimately being able to talk to other people who are making in the business or who, are just so much more knowledgeable than we are is so life-giving.
And the melding of the two audiences, too, I think is
yeah.
huge. Because the tabletop group, for those of you who don't play them, if you're listening to us and you're a pure tabletop gamer, if you know someone that plays TTRPGs, so we're talking, obviously D&D, Starfinder, Pathfinder, the like, you have so much to learn from them.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not even
if that's all they play, they have so much to learn from you.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about Ryan, but I'm just saying like every single
that's what I'm saying.
person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody we talk to, I'm saying the melding of because everyone that we've talked to, they've got an audience of some sort.
Yeah.
Even the retailers, the game designers, Chris Anderson with the board game, they've all got an audience. So the melding of those audiences is always tremendous. Not about literally, I'm not being selfish because we don't make money from the show. So I'm not talking about numbers, but the melding of the audience is just for the possibility of the exchange of what my favorite thing is. Communication.
Yeah.
Blows my mind and I love it. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, my favorite thing. All right. Am I doing another one?
Yeah, do another one.
Number 2 in this category is episode number 53. Special guest, Evan Derrick.
Oh, yeah.
Head on the table.
Yeah.
The dude was dropping so much knowledge. My head got heavy just trying to hold on to it. I forgot some stuff that I need to know just to make room for the stuff that he was teaching us that night. Episode 53 with Evan Derrick. Listen.
Yeah.
Go listen to that episode. That's another time I was taking notes. And it's phenomenal.
Well, his process is
so illuminating.
It's useful.
And that's one of the things that I wanted to do with the show, make sure that we did. When we talked to these individuals that were in the industry, particularly when it comes to game designers, this was the whole Designer's Corner thing was about. I wanted to give useful information about people who are listening to us who maybe want to design. It's great that you can talk. I'm not going to throw a name out, but let's talk to whoever the most important dude is, and he tells you about that one time when he designed that game that everybody bought 1 billion copies of. That's great, but that's not what I'm looking for, right? I want to ask that same guy, hey man, how do you get started with an idea?
Yeah.
What's your process? How do you work? And these type of questions, because those are the things that I needed as a creative person myself, as a creator. When I was sitting down, those are the questions I'm asking. Because I know that if it helped me, I know it can help some other people. And those are the things that we put to people like Evan. And Evan he let us have it full board. It was so good. And that episode is fantastic.
One of my favorite things that came out of that is that he actually asked us to help him play test the expansion to Detective City of Angels.
Yes.
And that was such a cool night.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was absolutely
because it's already a fantastic game, but then to be a part of that playtesting process.
Right, because that's one, he's a principal designer on that.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's absolutely cool.
That episode, though, is fantastic, guys. Go and look, episode 53, go and look it up. Put it on your list. They will be in the show notes, but man, write this one down. So good, episode 53. Yeah. Am I doing the last one? Or
no, I'll throw one in. It's now my brain doesn't work anymore, so we've done 2 GenCan'ts, right?
It ever did?
Yeah, be quiet. 2 GenCan'ts, right?
I want to say 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, no, we've done 2.
We've done more than one.
Yes, we've done 2. And I want to. The second GenCan't that we did at Game Point was one of the most joyous times I had
He's telling the truth.
In this 6 years. We had people we'd never met before drove a distance to get to us.
Alex made the show worth it.
And so it was so much fun to play with people, and it was this weird you're gathering here with us for this thing that we love to do, but we don't know you, and it was just it was so delightful. And there was at one point there was 8 people, and you and I were 2 of them, but we played all kinds of games, and it was just such a cool
Alex
night.
Was a fantastic host. He had a blast. It after about 5 or 10 minutes, like you said, once the crowd got there, when the first time Alex got up to do a raffle, and I'm bragging on my boy because it's true though. He took over. Alex took over all of Game Point. He got up, he drew everybody in. He's like, "Listen, this is what we're doing," and he was himself, and he was funny. He's loud, so he didn't need a mic, so everybody heard him. The place is normally super loud because it was packed at the time.
Yeah,
you could hear pin drop.
Well, and we got to give games to people who didn't even come to GenCan't.
Right,
they were just there for coffee.
Yeah, most of them there weren't because the place was full.
Yeah, and I was like,
there for
here, come on, you want to be in our raffle?
But once Alex did that, the energy changed. And they became kind of expectant. And I know there was a group of people there that day that were like, man, I'm a part of something and it's cool. because I saw people who weren't there for us, who were clearly looking at us. Every once in a while, they were shooting glances like, when are they coming? And they were waiting on us to get up and do something else again. And then when you did, they stopped what they were doing and paid attention, and they were hanging on you every word. And I kid you not, guys. Alex, I was sitting. I remember thinking, man, I wish I was filming this.
Man, you were sick that day too.
I felt like poo-poo. But anyway, that was one of the highlights and one of the things that pulled me through, because he took it over. The staff was into it. They were coming from the back. The cooks were leaning on that counter, dude. When you were talking, everybody was paying attention to you. I said, this dude is running the whole joint. This is fantastic.
I was also wearing a midriff, so that brought a lot of eyes.
No, that would have been just opposite.
All right.
But it was really, really good.
GenCan't number 2.
Special episode.
GenCan't number 2.
Am I going back?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my number 1 episode in the top 3 guest episodes, I can't wait to drop this one on Alex.
Well, come on. Well, don't draw it out.
It's episode number 26.
Uh-oh.
Which was a Grand Designs episode.
Okay.
And it was an episode with Sean Smith of Infinite Dreams Gaming.
Oh, man. I love those guys.
And so
I love those guys.
The reason why that one is, and it was probably the second, I think this is the second one I put on my list. Mm-hmm. The reason why this one picked up, Sean is such a delightful personality for me. Because he's got so much energy. He's so upfront, and he's so focused on what he's talking about right then and now. You're going to get 100 on what he's talking about now. Now, there may be some other things that you may try to bring up that if he's not done with what he's talking about, he's not going to move on with you, because he's going to finish where he's at. But there's so much to learn from that, because he's so deep and so focused into that one thing. But the information that he dropped that day about working with an IP.
Oh, it's priceless.
Right, and drop that information about what they went through and how they dealt with. And this, of course, these guys designed Warehouse 13, the board game, which is fantastic, which just had a successful Kickstarter for the expansion. For those of you who are wondering, you can get the original game on Amazon. The other one, the Kickstarter, is coming. Yeah, I'm plugging them because I own the game. I backed the Kickstarter and can't wait for it because I love this game. But that information was brilliant. And it was that staccato. And that's where I learned that from. I remember, after we asked him the question and he dug in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. And then we had to do the sound check thing. He had to adjust his mic. He adjusted his mic, and I'm sitting there going, okay. He done went deep on us. Oh, if we don't stop him, he gonna keep going. But there was so much good information, and then your interactions with him, because you love those guys, and the questions that I had, I remember thinking, I think we got something with this episode. And when I sat down to edit it, I was floored. When I finished, I was like, I couldn't have scripted this. I'm like, this is amazing information. And mainly it's because of the info that he shared. But again, it's what I said a minute ago. He got into the nitty gritty, what they really had to deal with. He's talking about, these are the people we had to call. This is what they did.
Was Michael there that day with him? Mm-mm. No, so it was just Sean.
It was just Sean.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, it stuck out.
Yeah.
And those other 2 episodes are so special. They really are. But this one stuck out. So episode 26.
So one of the things that it didn't really make my list, but I every time I looked at something that just keeps popping up, is how grateful I was for Carl.
Oh my gosh.
We haven't been able to record in Carl's studio for a while, and we sorely miss him. But Carl's okay. Carl's doing great. Just timing wise, things haven't worked out for us in the last couple months. But I think through Carl and just what a blessing he was.
Oh, man.
You talk about people who've made a difference for us. He just for what he's done, the level of professionality that he gave us, the support with the Pod Studio One.
Professionality.
Listen, it
sounds. Is that a word?
It might be.
But
whatever. I
don't think so.
I'm going to call Webster's and say professionality. Carl.
You got a computer box in front of you. Why don't you
know what?
All
right.
That?
You ruined us a special moment for Carl. So, Carl, I was being genuine. He ruined that for you.
Oh, I'm about to pass out. That was great. Oh,
all right. Okay, your next list, because I've got one more thing. So you hit 2, and then I'll do my last one, and then you do your last one.
All right. So the last one is the top 3 new segments that we've got where we introed a new segment, and I will start with number 3. Number 3 is comic book to board game.
New segments.
The first.
Every episode we have new segments.
No. This list was big.
Okay.
But that's why I narrowed it down to 3. So comic book to board game. So this was the one where we took the comic books and we used the energy or the IP from a comic book and we made it a game.
Okay. I remember doing this once.
This was I'm kind of calling these the creator series because we've done this a few times.
Okay.
But we used different things to get us to this point.
Okay.
This one was special in it points out because both the games were inventive.
What were the games?
This gives me an opportunity. I kind of don't remember yours. Mine was the Teen Titans one.
Okay.
And I kind of don't remember yours.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I remember thinking, because this wasn't the first one we did.
Okay.
Because this was episode 44.
Okay.
And
so you just really liked your game?
No. I remember the whole thing took me aback. I remember the whole segment was like, man, that was really cool.
Wasn't it there? Didn't yours have like a hidden trader mechanic in it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But just for me, being able to be who we are, be creative.
Yeah.
Apart from being on the show.
Yeah. And then meld
put
worlds.
it forward. And that was new for me.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is 44. This wasn't the first time we did this. We'd already done it once, or actually twice. This is the third time we did it. And the other two are ahead of it.
All right. Okay. So what's your next one?
So that's kind of what blew it up for me. It was just real special. That's coming out of my shell, man. I'm from the generation where we don't crowdsource everything. You just go and sit down and write your book and then put it out there. You don't write the premise and then get on Facebook and be like, what should the next part of the book be? That's oversimplification, but that's what I think they do now. Fine, I'm going to number 2. Number 2, as soon as my mouse gets right. Number 2 was episode 27. This is the first time we did it, which was New Game Set Top Funhouse. That's where we first came up with a game period, and I think these were the Tiny Epics.
Oh, we did.
Yours was Tiny Epic Farm. The way you said it was, and you couldn't get it out. You were laughing. And mine was Tiny Epic Coffee House. And they were just fantastic. I mean, it was fun. For me, especially with a game design, even though I wasn't doing that for Gameland. I mean, they can come and get it if they want to. I would love to work with them with it. But I wasn't doing that for them. But I've never designed a game, which seriously, because I wasn't playing. I said, I'm going to sit down and do the real thing. And put it out there, previewed it, something like that. So this was 27 was the first time I did that. Mm-hmm. That was a big step for me. Because I'm used to having it ready, make it be ready. Yeah. It's been developed somewhat, and now I'm going. But now I was like, I just came up with the idea and printed up the document, and boom, it's out there to the world.
I'm glad that I could help you expose yourself to the world.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. So that was it. Episode 27. Yeah, I'm going to move on past that.
Yeah, I know.
Episode 27, New Game Set Top Funhouse. You got to listen to these episodes. They're fun.
That's right. All right, yeah. So mine was my first expansion. It was the first time I really remember doing something and just like really taking ownership of it. And that was my Don't Be That Guy segment.
From the first episode?
Well, no, it was my first expansion. So I think it's probably like 6 or 7 around in there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And it's just talking about, what it was talking about like the type of person you could be while gaming. And I think for me, that was the first time I realized this actual podcast can do one of the things that I appreciate, and that's help people be better to other people.
Yeah.
And so for me,
that's good stuff.
So it was pertinent information, it was relevant, but it was also a chance to encourage people to kind of sit back, reflect on their own, thoughts and actions, and move to just be better to their community, be better in their groups. And that was when I was like, whoa. And ever since then, every time we have had a topic or conversation, that's why I loved Cynthia's episode, where I got to talk about the real stuff. Not just the board games, but the life with board games. What does it mean to be a person and play this game? And so that was the kind of the genesis of that, and that was Don't Be That Guy. We did that. I did it recently with an RPG. So that's that. So that was kind of, I think that's my number one memory. All right. So grand finale.
Yep, I've got one left. It isn't my favorite overall. I've already covered that, but this is number one in the episode, in the category where we introed a new segment, and it is the third time that we did kind of what we did in the previous. And this is episode number 30, and this was when we debuted the Spoken Token Presents movies. Hilarious. It's Barron Park.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's the Barron Park episode.
We have a crossover, yeah.
Yep, the Barron Park episode for you. I did Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
And what we did there was we did a movie trailer.
Yeah.
For the game. And then we talked about the game or whatever. It's really, really cool.
In a world.
Yes.
Where bears are in a park.
Right, and there's bears in the park. It was great.
That was fun.
Hilarious. But again, it was my favorite one of these three. And again, it was kind of that same thing. Well, like I said, it's kind of like I said, the creator series where we were creating stuff on our own, aside from doing the podcast stuff and being creative, using our own talents, and then bringing it back to the show. And I think it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those worked. I know we haven't gone back and done it a lot, But those have worked. We've done it those 3 times, and they were just
I think
a blast.
the first time we did one of those creative things, we were just hurting for content.
27
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
first
but
time
it was
did.
we were just like, oh gosh, we gotta fill like 10 minutes, and so
But you know, so we went right back to the well.
Yeah.
Because 30 was next.
Yeah.
And then 44.
yeah.
So.
And then it's been 60 episodes, and we haven't done one since.
Right. Well, I've been kind of waiting to try to fit them back in there.
Yeah.
But they were so funny. They were.
Yeah.
They were good. But they were fantastic. I think they were really good. So it's good that they're spaced out now because we've got a chance to think about it. So because we can make them special. Because again, I don't want to get to the point where it's so silly to where it's not really good content. I think this was good content. I mean, these were really good. They were funny. Of course, I do. It's ours.
All right. So in our reminiscent. All right. What have you? If you could say that there's one thing that you've learned.
Oh man.
So I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, ain't no one, man.
What's the one thing that you have learned by doing this? I've got one thing in my brain.
You better go first, then.
Okay, here's the one thing that I've learned, all right, from us doing this. Doing unboxings on a podcast is completely useless.
You didn't learn that. You've been saying it all along.
I know.
I'm calling bogus. You got to come up with something new.
No,
because you've been saying that since the first time, so you didn't learn that. You already knew that. Come up with something new, my friend. So while you're thinking about the thing that you learned, I wrote a bunch of notes on episode 1. I went back and I did, seriously, when you come up with it, let me know. I went back and I looked at the games that we covered from each of the different years. I looked at the first episode of the year and I moved down through it just to kind of look and see what covered different. Kind of one of the things that I've picked up, obviously Kickstarter has had just a tremendous and lasting and indelible effect on board games. And one of the things I guess mainly that I've pulled from it, games have gotten to the point where in this country, they've gone more mainstream. They're more ready. And I mean, that's real super simple. Oh, Larry, we know that. Well, what I mean, that the simple part, but the deeper part of it is they're more ready to be the reason why you go somewhere and do something. And in this country, culturally, that's a shift because coming from Monopoly and Payday and Chutes and Ladders and Trouble and Life and all those, that's, you know, it was something you did to occupy your time or to keep the kids quiet. And that's been the culture here from, you know, the last 70 years. But now what we've seen in the last 6, for sure, since we've been doing the show, it was starting before, but definitely in the last 6, now it's shifting. Now you're getting together to play the games, but it's not just that the culture said, well, I just want to do it. The games themselves are worthy of that now. The rules now, they've got multifaceted rules. You got many different ways you can play the same game. You can play the game with the light set of rules that you learn, and then you can get deeper as you go, which is something that's very personal to me. The games are growing as you get better with them. And that's something that's really come about in the last 6 years. And of course, Kickstarter's taken up the component level and the mini level and the box size and the box bloat. All of those are very obvious things that have happened. But looking at the content of it, looking at the substance of it, they've gotten a lot deeper, and they're now worthy to be the reason, hey, you got a weekend to play Dwellings of Eldervale? Yeah, that works. That tracks. Hey, we're going to spend a weekend playing Gloomhaven. Yep, I'll bring some clothes and a chain and some snacks. Because, I mean, those things track now. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen, and I think it's fantastic. The truth of the matter is, I think all along, even before with the way that our games were, you know, we did have games that were worthy of the time that you spent with them. It's just now they've adjusted the time that you can spend with them. And because they're still worthy of it. They're still worthy of the time. And it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. And I only see that getting better. But I've noticed that. And I'll go on and post. I wasn't going to post the notes, but I won't read through them here for time. I'll post the notes of that study of the episodes. Because some of them were quite long. Year 2, we covered 20 games. Episode 12.
Holy smokes.
Right. So, yeah. And some of the years in the episode, year 6, well, 99, episode 99, you had that big long list. Most of them we only maybe covered 4 or 5. And again, I only picked one episode out. I picked the first episode of each year. But you can go through and you can see for yourself. We could have done a spreadsheet and throw them out there and picked them out by category. I didn't do all of that. I just wanted to look at the titles and see what they were. So that's what I've learned partially.
I think, all right, so what I've learned...
Unboxings are not useless.
No.
You are a poo-poo head.
No, not unboxings. Unboxings with...
on the podcast, man. I'm talking about on the podcast.
In a radio format.
I'm not killing that segment. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Oh, my gosh. I think for me, the most valuable thing that I've learned, or even just that I've grown through, is on a personal level, is what I deem... worthy of, or I mean, not even worthy. What I actually, I now I know what I like to play. Like I genuinely know.
Do you?
I really do. Because when I start out, and this is when I get back to Zpocalypse, I wanted Zombicide. I wanted a video game in a box. And when I started out, like that's all I was searching for.
That's definitely not Zpoc.
I was searching for video game in the box, and at that time, Zombicide was $100, and I was like, all right, I can't do that, but okay, I can do Zpoc.
And look at all the plastic. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. And so I did Zpoc, and then Zpoc was just
it's not a video game in the box.
Right. It was something more cerebral and puzzly, and I was like, but no, I need this like. Give me Diablo 2. Give me,
no.
Yeah, that's exactly that is it. And so there's so many moving parts and different things, and as I've gotten older, I've found and walked through this. And then there was a phase where I would like give me the heaviest thing you can give me, like get the densest. The densest thing that you can get, because I want meat and rich, and then I'm like, I don't like that either. That like, because I found like the Zpoc or the Zombicides and all of those, like the Dungeons and Dragons like they were just too shallow for me. So I went the opposite realm and tried to get the really, really deep stuff. And at that point, I was like, I don't have.
You were still looking for your genre.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for it. And as mellowed out and really, now I'm really secure in what I like, I'm willing to try anything. But I have found that I really like kind of that middleweight game. Like Fantastic Factories. That's a little bit on the lighter side for me, but in that area,
I thought that too.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it is.
You don't think Fantastic Factories is light? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
because I thought that too.
Yeah,
because it's so simple to learn and teach.
Yeah, no, but it is. It's but that just that speaks to the it's a credit to the designer is that they can do what they do, but it's not complicated.
No, it's not. It's not. But the strategy to be successful is fairly medium.
Yeah. Well, but again, it's in the middle, and so that's where I live.
Back into the shadows and get out of your.
Yeah. So I have grown, and now I'm more confident in what I like, which also helps me in my buying patterns.
Woohoo.
And I now can say, you know what?
What's a buying?
Yeah, exactly. But now I even though this was enjoyable, I don't need to own this.
Yes.
Yeah. And
well, and I've kind of been that way all along. Believe it or not. I mean, I don't own clearly every game that I've come across. I don't. There's no way I do. I've come across thousands, and I only own hundreds. So I don't own every game that I've come across. But I understand what you're saying. Look, those two games sitting right next to each other are proof of that. Mm-hmm. In terms of me saying I'm not going to come across every game. That's why I bought Zpoc first, because I got a chance to play it. I knew how to play Zombicide. I'd learned how to play it, and I looked at Zombicide and said the original was like, I don't need that.
Yeah,
Zpocalypse, I want. So no, I get what you're saying. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, shucks, my friend. Wow, we have come to the end of episode 100. So many special things we could have done, but I think this was appropriate.
Yeah.
That we got a chance to sit back and look back. And now, guys, we're empowered and we're happy and we're full, and we know we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we still have a lot to learn. So many, many wonderful things are coming. So stay tuned. Thank you for being with us this time. If you just joined, go back and listen to these episodes and then listen to all of them. Even if you don't, thank you for listening to this one, and thank you for maybe staying with us moving forward. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you again as soon as it's time. So, for Spoken Token, this is Larry Neal saying, as always, keep communicating.
And this is Alex Wallace saying, keep playing.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you would like to interact with us, please find us at Facebook at The Spoken Token, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast. Our Twitter account is at The Spoken Token. Email is thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com. And our BGG guild number is 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.